Co-op City is the biggest housing cooperative in the world, where 43,752 residents live, with shopping malls, retail shops, schools, houses of worship, and even its own police station. Countless commuters drive past Co-op City every day. Many look at its dark buildings and remote location and assume it is a public housing for the poor. But in fact, it is a housing cooperative for the middle class.
The main misconception of Co-op City is that it's the projects, because the buildings look similar except for a couple of red buildings that's sprinkled throughout. And I don't blame them, because that's what they know from other places within New York City. And if you don't know the structure or the foundation of what Co-op City is, then it's very easy to have that misconception.
The concept of housing cooperative is first inspired by Abraham Kazan, who is considered the father of U.S. cooperative housing. As the president of the Amalgamated Clothing Workers Credit Union, Kazan understood the newly constructed buildings often out of reach for the poorer earners, causing harsher social and moral conditions with the tenement communities where the poorer people lived in tightly congested clusters. To try to address this problem, he developed the idea of cooperative housing, not merely to create a residential building or complex, but complete cooperative villages. In 1927, the first cooperative housing project was developed, the Amalgamated Housing. Then many other cooperative housing projects, like World Bus Houses, Rochdale Village, and the biggest of its kind, Co-op City, were developed under the United Housing Foundation. However, Co-op City is one of the few left, while the others were largely privatized. The land where Co-op City lies on was previously the home of Freedom Land USA, an amusement theme park that operated from 1960 to 1964. They made way for the construction when Freedom Land declared bankruptcy in 1964. The construction of Co-op City also thanks to the Michelle Llama, which is pushed by Robert Moses and his slum clearance in the Bronx. The initial plan of the Co-op City by Herman Jaser was started in 1965. After several public hearings in this year and the following one, the groundbreaking ceremony was held in 1966. First batch of residents began to move in 2 years later. The cooperation of Co-op City is membership-based, with membership granted by way of a share purchase in the cooperative, which means each resident pays an amount of initial money to grant the right to occupy one housing unit. When they want to move out from Co-op City, they can withdraw the initial money, taking inflation into account, but not gaining any profits. Each resident is actually a shareholder, a co-owner of the Co-op City. Co-op City is managed by a management board. The management board is overseen by a board of directors who are elected by the tenants and presided over by a board president. Employees in the management board handle everything having to do with repairs, public safety, upkeep of the grounds, waste management, and the power plants. The residents pay monthly rent to the River Bay Corporation for the maintenance of the community. It is this rent that causes the conflicts between residents and the management board, among which the biggest was in 1975. Over the years, a serious problem of maintenance emerged in Co-op City. Its underground utility system has proven vulnerable to movement and settling. The settling earth has also caused shear fractures in the building's walls and disrupted stairs and ramps at their entrances. Furthermore, the initial construction went over budget, with each unit costing $4,000 more to build than originally anticipated. In 1975, under financial pressure, the officers of River Bay Corporation tried to offset the budget deflect by passing along the $4,000 per apartment overrun to the residents in the form of a 25% increase in monthly carrying charges. a move that resulted in a 13-month rent strike.
So we first applied for the apartment in 1967, late 67, 68. They had promised that the apartment would go for $23 a room per month. But by the time we moved in, the cost went up to $27 a room per month. Now, and then it kept on going up. We marched all around Co-op City led by a Boy Scouts troop and leaders, and came upstairs to a rally that was led off by Borough President Bob Abrams, and we galvanized the community.
This long strike finally led to a mortgage arrear of $114 million. Although New York State provided $108 million for repairs in 1992, it wasn't enough. Co-op City faced another big financial problem in 2004, and finally, with the help of the Housing Finance Agency and the New York Community Bank and the Major, the tide was turned. Co-op City is the biggest housing cooperative project in the world, maybe both in the past and the future. Kazan in the 1920s helped the existence of houses merely for middle-class people to live in, rather than trade for profits. However, a century passed. Why do we say Kazan's idealized concept has faded by time? The good news is that a new Michel Lama program with state or municipalities floating a bond could work as the cornerstone for creating such affordable housing today. But the site like Co-op City may never appear again. The United Housing Foundation and Herman Jaser built big because they believed that the economies of scale would keep construction and maintenance costs down. In some cases, this was true, but the buildings have faced 5 decades of costly upkeep. It's hard to picture a municipality today, in an era of record-high construction costs, investing similar resources in a massive housing project that might never approach affordability and self-sufficiency. Furthermore, the contemporary era is also a selfish era. Such an idea of housing cooperative with a sense of socialism is hard to be accepted by the majority of American people today, who doubt such an ideology. It's a daunting task to convince cooperative tenants that the roof over their heads isn't merely shelter, but was part of the greater good, and reflective of Abraham Kazan's Twin Pines mantra, first vice, not profit.